again, this is a recording for a video where I'm going to talk about the how I see the landscape in trading is shifting in the last few days. In my last video also, I was referring to some of the key levels to watch for support, and definitely these were the levels. Give me a second. It's too big. Okay. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I was referring about, using these levels as an area of support, and that is what we have been seeing so far. Every every time the market has come in this area, they are getting bought back. They are getting bought back and up. But there is another key thing. I am more so now I'm thinking that we are going to test this level very likely tomorrow. Very possible tomorrow we're going to test this level, and we may even go a little bit down and test the 20 SMA, which is a very prominent area. So tomorrow we can see a bar like this and then pull up again. Um, and in- and it might still be okay as long as we close above it. It might still be okay. But when you look into the trading structure or the trading on a smaller time frame, um, what I'm seeing is it something interesting, a change in the dynamics, a change in the semantics of what's going on, and I want to bring that up. I want you folks to keep this in your mind, um, and this is I'm not alarming, but um, yeah, I'm not trying to alarm that there is something negative going on or we could be getting into, but what I'm seeing here is um, we have started disturbance. Sorry for that pause. Going back to what I was saying is what I'm noticing is a little bit shift in the tone. And if you have read any books or if you know the trend definition of a trend is if you're talking about uptrends, what you want to see is stock wants to make higher lows and higher highs. And and by that, what I mean is, let's say you made a low here, you go high, and when there is a pullback, this low is higher than this low that was made here, right? So similarly, this is the high, recent high. So now when you cross it, you make a new high. And now when we are pulling back, uh, the moment we make a low that is lower than this low, this whole trend can be assumed as it's over because there's a change in the trend. So the trend is basically changing. Now, it everything takes time to form. You will not know about this, on the day it happens because the reference point is left on the chart few days back, few weeks back, few months back, right? So that is why these are all laggers. I'll leave it that way. Anyway, so far what I have observed is on a daily basis, we would see that market would gap up on a daily basis, and then it will give us an initial push down. And after that, after it has scared folks off, weeks and off, then it will gradually move up. And then, you'll get another opportunity in the day. And if you have been listening me, if you have been with us for a few weeks, few months now, we have been talking about confidently buying into things, into the pullbacks on the lows of the day, holding it overnight, and then selling it into the morning strength, and then wait for another pullback, and then do things like that, right? So now what I'm seeing is the difference. What I'm seeing here is, and this is a very recent development. This is my very recent observation. We are very early in this observation, so, so just keep it in mind, nothing to panic or worry about. But what we're seeing is, the entire day we go up and we close at the pretty much at the highs of the day, then we sell off, and then we close up. And in this, when we do this, what's happening is we have formed, we are actually making this lower high formation. We make a low, we go sideways, and then this high is lower than this high, and the high that we made today is lower than this high. And if you look on the lows part, this low here and this low here, so obviously this low here is lower than this low here, and the same today's low here, that low is lower than yesterday's low. So this is a typical definition of a downtrend wherein you make a high that is lower than the previous high, and you make a low that is um, higher than the previous low. So that's a definition. That's how you would define a downtrend. And like I said, I am observing this. This is very early in the phase. Um, in the past, if you see, we have had some sell-offs in the past, and I want to share you my observation on that part too. So let's going back here. So we have had days where market sold off very fast and furious. You know, uh, where's my pen? Sorry, didn't. And that's another difference I want to point out on this chart. So uh, Uh, I think I think this is one of the day where we had a big sell-off, and then it was we the next day we had some gap, and then we had another sell-off. So the difference between these sell-off is this was panic. Like people were scared or were being scared, and they were hitting, sell, 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 sell now, get me out now, kind of a thing. But um, what what I think we are seeing here is methodological selling. There's no panic. The sellers are waiting for some decent resistance area, some lower area to sell into, and that is not a panicky selling. This is planned, gradual selling kind of a behavior. So that's another observation, and that is why I thought it might be a good idea that I share with everybody else. If I know something, if I can sense something, it's a good idea to share. The other thing is, if you see, we actually formed. We have a half pattern. So this is your left shoulder, this is your head, and if this happens to be the low of the high of the day, and let's say tomorrow we come all the way here, and this becomes your right shoulder, so you probably have a head and shoulder pattern on a smaller time frame. And if this breaks down, um, that you can assume 380 59, so 20 plus 70, around 90 points down, which will get you to 3790 area, which is somewhere around this area. If this breaks down, you can see somewhere around this area. Well, these are the forecasting possibility. If this happens, this is what could happen. So yeah. So that is why when I started sensing this, that is why and here's the other thing. Uh, uh, I took two trades in the later part of the day, PTON, and I want to take a second here to talk about why I took this trade. Um, Yesterday, yes, so I'm gonna I'm going to put this on a daily chart. So this is a PT on chart, and you can see that this area has acted support, and the stock had a good balance area here for a few days. It bounced back up, and then it fell, and then it fell again, and we broke below this. So yesterday when we were breaking, I took the yesterday's trade, and I was hoping that we'll probably go down big, but it didn't happen. But I wanted, as my theory was, as long as we stay below this trend line, below this support area, which is somewhere around 140 and 140, between 140 and 141, I wanted to hold on to that trade, and I could not sell off in the first morning drop. Um, Obviously I could not, and I had to get out of it for break even when the stock was not selling with the market drop. So if I put both SPY and PTON chart, I would see that PTON was not selling as much as SPY sold. So when I found that SPY that at a area where it can bounce, I just exited out this trade. But I had been watching this the whole day to see what happens when this thing comes to these levels, and when it got rejected once, twice, and the third time, that is when I okay, somebody needs to mute. I entered the puts trade, and and we can see that pretty close to where I entered, the stock has gone down. So that's a confirmation that this area is a good resistance area. We'll see what brings in tomorrow and day after, but just wanted to let folks know that this level on Python is my stop loss. If we start trading above, I have no other option to take the loss. So that's the exit strategy. That's the one exit strategy. If I go wrong, that's the exit strategy. What I am looking for is a test of um, we have some support in the 330 area. There is some support here, and it's actually, let me put on my SMAs and load SMAs. Yeah, so we have some support here in the 330 areas. Um, so if we get there, if we get to 330, I'm looking to take some profits off, and I'm sharing this upfront so you guys can plan your exits in and around that area. Um, but it's a short-term trade. Similarly, is the Netflix. Um, See, our goal is to make money, right? It's nowhere it says that I cannot trade the same stock or I shouldn't be trading the same stock. So the reason I went short on Netflix yesterday was after this big drop, Netflix made a bear channel. This is a bear pullback, and now yesterday we had a drop on Netflix. Uh, that paid us today, and technically we should be seeing a drop like this. So, this length here is what should get replicated in this length here. Now it's just a matter of time, right? When this happens. The other thing is if you go on a shorter time frame, um, uh, the area where I picked it to short was this area where I think we are finding some resistance in several rays, right? Like this is a high, and you join the line together, you see it comes to somewhere near here. We can't be perfect, but so that's the reason. Obviously, if we start trading above 551, 552, uh, I'll have to exit this trade for a loss. But if the trade works in our direction, we have good, we have some time. We can definitely come all the way back here in these areas where the stock found some support. So those are my thoughts around the put trades that I shared out, and now it's a game to wait and watch and see how it's going. So I'm going to stop the recording, and the floor is open.